Oh my God, Scott, are we actually doing this? Are we doing our first episode ever?
I think we are.
So many ideas and well wishes that end up in the void of nothingness, but this BvG, you can't deny its power. You can't deny the beautiful conversation that will come out of it. We're actually seeing something through. It's amazing.
Amazing.
I
I
I
s-
I was gonna say
yes.
we've been discussing this for possibly decades now, and I'm just glad that we're
I
finally
know.
seeing it through.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. It's unreal that we actually thought of something and then decided to do something about it instead of just saying, "Wow, that would be so cool. Let's play some Halo instead."
Halo was this 2004.
Yes,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
still only playing Halo. That's all I play is Halo. I want
Halo.
Master Chief to be extra squarey.
I read something online where it said being an adult with friends is telling those friends we should hang out sometime. You keep saying that to each other until you die, and that's what it's like to be an adult with
Yeah,
friends.
I've heard that before too. I think somebody quoted that exact statistic in in a
Statistic.
show that I watch.
We've conducted studies on this.
It is. You
All right,
talk to the average. You're talking about average Joe. They always make plans and then never see him through.
man. I can you
I still,
imagine. I feel bad for
I haven't talked to
folks.
my brother in 10 years.
I think he's still alive. I don't know. All right. So, my name is Saberspark. Scott, introduce yourself.
I'm Scott. How are you?
We are friends. We go all the way back to, I think, our freshman year of high school. So, we've been friends
Yep.
since like 2004 or 5.
It's honest to goodness been what the math comes out to 16 years.
Been a while.
Yeah.
And we're still buddies. And we've been wanting to do a podcast like this for a while. We've discussed it earlier this year. The entire
Yep.
notion of our podcast is we want nice, fun, genuine conversation. We encourage tangents. The template
Oh,
that we follow is we will go for a versus match in each episode. Hence the name of this series, BvG, aka Bear versus Gorilla, because that's like the core question that inspired us to pursue this podcast because it's one of the
oh yeah.
most. Besides, I think Bear versus Gorilla is probably one of the most common matchups that seems pretty divided down the middle. And the only other one I can think of that comes close to it is waffles versus pancakes. But we'll save that for another
Oh
episode.
yeah. We'll get into that later. That's gonna be an actual fight.
That's yeah, the gloves are off for that one.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so the format for the show is again to present a question of this episode of the episode, and then each of us will take a side on it, and we encourage to like have dissenting opinions where we don't want to just agree. We'll give props and we will tip our hats to facts and information and research that actually proves a point, but the
Yes.
entire thing here is to prove Scott wrong and that I'm the one who's always right.
Yes, this goes back from the very first time we ever arm wrestled.
I think
One of us had to win,
one of us had to lose.
and dang it, I lost, and I'm still pissed.
Did you lose? I thought you won.
Oh, I totally lost.
Okay.
You had
Yeah,
that.
that's
You had that
surprising.
You had that surprising fat guy strength. You
I
just
was
didn't see
about
it
to say
coming.
fat guy strength.
You had fat guy strength.
Have you ever heard of
Like,
something called old man strength?
I can't say I have, but that's probably because of the old men I have in my life. All of them are extremely weak.
They're uninspiring. Now, I've been
Yes.
told that there's something called old man strength that like a lot of the bodybuilders who are the best in the world, they get their old man strength in like their 40s. And I'm like, now to be fair, I haven't performed any academic articles and research to prove that this is true, but I've heard that saying thrown around before, old man strength.
Interesting. See, I would tie old man strength to emotional strength. Like an
Emotional?
old man. Yeah, like an old man who's like seen some crap. He's been alive for like, I wasn't thinking 40 because we're nearing 40. I was
No,
thinking
we're
more
not.
like
I'm in
seven.
my early 30s. You're nowhere near
I know
40.
we're closer to 40 than what I was expecting. I wasn't
Oh.
expect when you say old man strength, I don't think 40 because I don't think 40 is old man. I'm thinking
Like,
like 60
jeez.
plus, okay? And so I think emotional strength when you say old man strength because it's like think of somebody who's in like their 80s now, like they've been through some crap. They went through Vietnam, and
That's true.
like
That's
that's
true.
some emotional strength.
Old man strength. It's like that's a trope in anime where you've got like and I know that it also comes from like those old martial art films where you'll have the old master who
Oh yeah.
is like, okay, he's not at his peak strength, but he has experience and knowledge, and that this will be what gives him an edge versus some young opponent. That's how it goes. The somewhat older antagonist who was probably previously trained by the master failed him, came back for revenge. The master then
Yeah.
takes on a young protagonist who has experience, who has that talent but not the experience, and needs to be brought in. The master dies, the young
Yes.
man then comes in to defend his master against the previous student. That's the way it goes.
That's truly it. That's the classic buildup of any martial arts movie ever. Other than the fact that the master has to have an extremely long Fu Manchu.
Yes, yes, absolutely right. Yeah,
If
there
it's
has
not touching the ground and collecting dust, then he is no master.
that's I'll be real with you. It's one of my favorite tropes though, is like there will always be that one moment where like they'll send in the goons to start beating up the old master.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
And
he
the
just
old
starts
man,
like walking on water.
yes, and it's like the old master's like, no, I don't think so. Like I know what I'm doing. So that's a great example of what we would
What
like
we're
to
gonna do.
of what we're gonna do. We will present our main topic, and we'll let the tangents flow, and then we'll bring it right back. So that being said,
Correct.
before we hop into our main, because the template of the program will be introductions. Hey, it's Scott and Saber, and then
Yep.
we do a how's your week, how's life, cool, just checking up, and we'll probably do a quick little like the last episode was about this episode's about that, and then we hop into the conversation, and then we also want to encourage like people in the comments to ask us questions, to present and suggest different versus matches. We've got
Yeah.
some good ones already saved up, but we're always open to hearing what you all have to say.
Absolutely. And tell us when you think we're wrong. If you want to pick one side or the other, great. Support one, bash the other, tell us
Yeah.
what you think. And honestly, if you don't agree with either of us, tell us who you think would win. Give us your argument and I will absolutely approach it with absolutely no respect.
I say this with all sincerity. Uh, this particular topic that we're talking about today, the one that our podcast is named after, is truly a versus match that I am very firmly planted in, and as in I will fight people on this, and that is, who would win a one-on-one fight, a bear or a gorilla? Because I'm in the camp that a bear, like one of the stronger bear species, could smoke a gorilla any day of the week. But apparently there are people who are like, oh, gorillas are smart, they can throw a stick at a bear, and that gives it an edge somehow.
Yeah, a gorilla would peel a bear like a
Mm,
banana.
that's first off a
Just
stereotype.
taking
Gorillas,
off taking off that fur.
gorillas don't
And
eat
it
a
would not
banana.
be consensual by
Oh
any
no,
means.
no! The bear would think that you're getting the better of it, but it's surprise, surprise. It's gonna bring the pain. But let's so the way we're gonna do this is Scott here is going to side with the gorilla, present why he believes a gorilla could win a fight against a bear. I will, of course, then do the opposite, why he side with the bear. We have information that we've actually looked up. Scott here was the main person who researched this stuff. I know a few things about bears and gorillas just from like watching animal documentaries and just from reading some animal books and whatnot. But yes, we want to go into this and truly discuss. And I know that there's bias, but like, who would win, a bear or a gorilla? So
Yes.
I open the floor of discussion to you, Scott, as the one who did most of the research. Why do you think, first thoughts, a gorilla could defeat a bear in a fight?
Well, I don't want to just jump straight to my main argument, but I don't think I can avoid it for really any second longer. I want you to just picture a gorilla's hands and a bear's paws. Think of those words on their own. What does
Okay.
a hand have that a paw does not?
Well, they both have their advantages and their disadvantages.
Correct, but think of the advantage I'm thinking of right now, the one that makes the gorilla the most human like, and that is the thumbs, my
Well,
friend.
do I know they have thumbs, but they are they actually like human thumbs where it's like what's the term?
Opposable?
Opposable, yeah. Is that what they have? I
I
actually
mean,
don't
that's what
know.
we are. That's what they're called. They're called. I mean, I don't think it's just for gorillas. We have opposable thumbs.
Okay, because I know that things of the ape and monkey family, our hands are better equipped. I mean, it's what made humans what we are, is being able to use our hands. And it's like, yeah, we can grab things, open things, make tools, use tools. I know that gorillas are a lot more equipped to like break stuff and use some very like basic level tools compared to a bear, which a bear doesn't use its paws at all for anything that's tool making or really for like gripping. It's more for slashing and walking, right?
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, but I mean, I just going back to the thumbs because that is, I mean, you can't like it's a thumbs up for the gorilla in his corner because not only does he have thumbs on his hands or front hands, he's got four thumbs, my friend. He's
Four?
got four thumbs because what are the gorilla's feet but second set of hands?
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that.
They have four thumbs. So a gorilla could take a thumb of each hand, four, and just jam it into any part of the bear at once. Both eyes, the butt, anything, all at the same time.
I
He could jam thumbs into the ear and eye holes of the
all right.
bear,
All
deaf and
right.
blind.
I forgot that thumb's one of the most vicious weapons ever to come out of nature.
And you know those thumbs are not manicured. There's going to be some sharp nails on those.
I know that gorillas have very bizarre like hands and feet relative to humans because like humans when we hold out our hands it's like pretty straightforward where it's like here's the four fingers and here's the thumb, and I know for a gorilla it's a bit more of a curve like a crescent moon from the thumb to the rest of the palm, and that the thumb itself is like it looks like the thumb is actually a bigger part of the foot and the hand than a human's. So
I think it has a lot to do with the fact that like a gorilla's palm is like much longer than a human's. Like the palm part, because I mean they walk on their knuckles, so like they've got a then when they curl their I think I'm assuming that when they're curling their fingers in, they're curling in really far, so they have to have like that extra palm length
interesting.
as
Well,
they're walking around on their knuckles and stuff. I mean, I don't walk around on my knuckles. It's not something the human's gonna do because it's probably painful for a human.
so I counter your point saying, of course, okay, they've got thumbs, cool. Bears, though, they have paws that are massive, paws that are like boxing gloves with knives sticking out of them. So, like, this is my biggest issue with the bear versus gorilla battle
Mm, go ahead.
is this notion that I mean, I will give props to a gorilla and how well it is equipped to survive in nature, and how versus a human in a 1v1 fight, if the human has nothing, of course, it's just done for. A human would need a tool or some kind of way to be prepared for it or trap it or teamwork or something to fight a gorilla, because we as an individual human isn't that much in the eyes of nature physically. But a bear is bigger. It can go up on its hind legs, it free up its hands, its paws for slashing, and those hits are, massive strength behind it. And I think it's neat that a gorilla's got its thumbs, cool. But like,
It's not just cool, it's an advantage.
well, I don't know. You would have to, the gorilla would have to get some kind of like dodge move and roll to the side and jump on the back of a bear to really put those thumbs to work. Because when you're facing a bear, if it's a bear on its hind legs and you're going directly into its front part of its body for an attack, like you're not going to stand a chance. I mean, this bear has got its teeth bared, no pun intended. It's got its paws. It's ready to go. Like the the chances of a gorilla surviving a salvo of throws and claw swipes from a bear is just even if it's a smaller bear species. Like I know black bears. Let's go ahead and address something here. There are different types of bears. I think there's a lot larger variety of bears than there are for gorillas, and the variety that there are of bears have more extremes, where it's like black bear, brown bear, grizzly bear, Kodiak bear, sloth bear, polar bear. There's some variety there. Gorillas
Right.
like lowland gorilla, mountain gorilla, we were joking about how there's West
Compton
Side
gorilla.
Compton gorilla, yeah, right.
Yes.
Suburban
The
gorilla. There's the variety of gorillas. They're there, but not to the extent of bears. And a silverback. That's the gorilla we're picking for the fight, correct? Like we're picking a silverback gorilla for your side, right?
I mean, for the most part, yes, because I mean, silverback gorillas are notoriously the largest
Yes.
of the entire genus of primates, like overall, especially of gorillas. Like the mountain silverback is mainly known for being the largest of the gorilla.
I think a gorilla in that first Planet of the Apes movie, like took out a helicopter. It was-
Yeah. Well, see, would a bear do that? No.
no, a
A
bear
bear
wouldn't
couldn't
be
even reach that helicopter.
wouldn't even be daring enough to try that stunt.
Bear, old gentle Ben would just be like, oh.
A black bear would not stand a chance against a silverback gorilla. I mean, there are even black bears that are timid of humans and will run away from us. A brown bear, all right, that's a bit more equaled out. A grizzly bear, a bit more equaled out. And then we start heading to. I know that like sloth bears, those are the ones that tangle with tigers occasionally, and that like tigers will kill them. It's not much of a fight. Uh, there are because I watched a video where it had like a tiger trying to kill a sloth bear's cub, and the sloth bear mom would not back down, but it was almost brought to like near death, just trying to defend itself and its baby. While the tiger's like, I'm done here. I'll bye. Like the tiger's left.
That sounds like misplaced courage.
Right? Yeah. So
I mean, not protecting your cub, but I'm like, if it wasn't protecting your cub and this sloth bear is just going for it, it's like, nah, it's a bad idea, buddy.
yeah. Well, the tiger, it looked like a house cat, where it's like, yeah, okay, bye.
Yeah.
I know that actually, here's something that be brought up too: is both species that we have, and I know that most animals have an intimidation thing about it. I know that predators are also no exception to that, because a gorilla will bare its teeth, bang its chest and then its hind legs, and really scream, while
Oh yeah.
bears will do the same thing, where they'll get on their hind legs, open up their mouth and roar, and got their hands ready to go. So both of
Yeah.
our contenders here, they're not pushovers when it comes to intimidation. Like if you want to fight, we'll fight. Biggest difference though, I say carnivores. Funny enough, aren't gorillas mostly they're opportunist omnivores, if I'm correct, where they'll eat meat occasionally, but plants are the main diet, correct?
Yeah, as far as my best understanding is, I mean, like, I've I've only ever heard of and pictured gorillas eating plants. They're pretty much completely vegetarian.
Okay. And not to say that vegetarians can't be strong opponents. I mean, elephants are primarily vegetarian. I don't think elephants actually eat meat at all. I know hippos occasionally will, but
Yeah.
elephants are. It's kind of interesting because usually the smarter animals of the world are ones that are predators because you get more protein and makes your brain larger and just helps you to be smarter. But elephants are an exception where they're big and they're pretty smart too, but they
Yeah,
only
but
eat plants.
you're picturing protein as only existing in meat.
I know,
There's
but
lots of plants out there that have more protein per like ounce than like your average steak or something would.
I was surprised when I discovered in college that they're like, "What's the highest source of protein for a food item?" And I'm like, "Oh, a steak." And they're like, "No, eggs." And I was like, "Oh, I did not know that." All right, I give props to a gorilla because I know a gorilla is like the ape family. Most apes are social creatures. They stick together with some form of leadership, with usually an alpha male. I know that there's a lot more intelligence and social, like, I guess, etiquette and like, we're a family, we'll groom each other, we stick together, there's strength in numbers, like gorillas, and also a silverback gorilla is the alpha of a group. It's like the same way a male lion is the king of the pride. So
Right.
that's a pretty big advantage where it's like we individually aren't that strong, but as a group we're pretty formidable. So I will give
Well,
gorillas props with that.
yeah, I mean, that's a good testament to the intelligence, certainly. But if you're just talking about strength, I mean, a gorilla can lift like 10 times its own body weight, and a bear maxes out at maybe its body weight.
Okay, so that's I will give props in regards to a gorilla having better grip strength because it can actually grab with its hands.
It can grab and it can punch.
Do they actually I saw a video where it had these two silverbacks going at it in a fight and they were just throwing punches on each other. And it felt like each punch was like watching a DBZ fight where you can actually feel the impact of the punch on each animal. And I
I
was like,
mean,
bone
that's
shattering.
a yeah, it's a lot of like like that's a lot per square inch. You're punching with a lot of force behind it when it comes to a gorilla. Like they're all upper body strength. Like that's the reason they have small looking legs.
Yeah, they don't
they
really
never
they
they
don't use
always
them.
skip leg day.
But specifically, in this home we don't do leg press. I know also that, like, I have to double check on this, but I read something about how with how humans divided off from the rest of the great apes, we our muscles, like, okay, it's funny how humans will go to gyms and we'll lift weights and be like, oh, I'm so ripped, when like an elephant or a gorilla or a bear is like, okay, like, whatever, I can crush you easily. Like, there actually was, I have to source this as well, but I remember reading something about how Mike Tyson, back when he was still a bit of a crazy guy, went to a zoo, saw a silverback gorilla, like, I guess, picking on another gorilla, and Mike Tyson, in all seriousness, said, "Let me in there. I want to fight that gorilla. Let me in
Oh
there and
my
fight it."
gosh.
Where it's like, Mike, you might be one of the most formidable fighters in the boxing ring for humans ever. A gorilla would destroy you. It would
Oh, of
destroy
course.
you.
But okay, I gotta say, you've been given props to the gorilla
I get
side.
I give props to gorillas. I think they're very
I
fascinating
have to I have
creatures.
to offer the same.
Mighty Joe Young.
This is a gentleman's debate.
Mm.
So I will offer props in many ways to bears in this fight because gorillas do not have claws. They do
Oh.
have some solid teeth. Like
I don't
the
need your
the
pity.
teeth of bears and the claws of bears are dang near unrivaled. They're like, as from what some of the research I was doing, like a bear claw is like 4 to 6 inches. Like that's insane. I
It's
mean,
huge.
you hit by a bear swipe, and it's like, oh, I got scratched. It's like, no, you got gored.
Yeah, that's like almost exclusively used for like bulls and for bears is getting gored. Because I guess I'm giving props to your silverback and your gorillas because you're going to be needing it when I actually start.
Ouch.
No, I'm serious. When I start to unleash, I'm gonna you're gonna need it. I'll
Oh,
hit you right
okay,
now,
okay,
dude.
sure.
Okay, so okay, oh cool. Gorillas have their hands and their grips, and they might be able to possibly strategize a bit more. Cool. Um, Bears, if you go directly into a fight with a bear, face to face, this thing is going to start eating you alive, where it will drop its weight on you. And I think it's, okay, maybe a gorilla might be able to push a bear off of itself. And I know a gorilla's got teeth of its own. And I think it's got a bit more of a self awareness of what's going on. Not to a sentient level by any means, but still like, okay, this is a fight and I'm currently in combat. Bear has its strength. It's got its hind legs and it's going to drop its weight down on you. These claws are going to be cutting thick, deep into your skin. A bear's skin is more formidable taking a blow from a gorilla. Oh, you bit me. Okay, I can still, because bears fight other bears all the time, and they can still walk off and survive and recover. And I think a gorilla versus gorilla, you're not getting slash damage; it's bashing damage. A gorilla versus a bear, it's getting cut up, it's getting bitten, it's getting its skin ripped off and torn into, and one good blow of a bear's snout. Also, a bear has a snout. It's more precise for ripping out something versus a gorilla, which is a flatter snout. Humans' mouths, apes' mouths aren't. I know that there's exceptions with baboons, but like it's not meant for being a predator. It's not meant for ripping out precise chunks of flesh the same way that a dog snout is or a bear snout. So one good bite can just rip a chunk of flesh off, and it's GG.
Well, that's what you say, but it's like, okay, one good bite could do a lot of damage. Absolutely, that's right. I'm not going to contest that. But the thing is, and I gotta offer this up towards like the swipe of the paws. I'm like, the reason I made a big point of the thumbs right away and the grabbing is not just the sheer strength, because as we know, stacked up, gorillas in the upper body are strong enough that they could push the bear off. They could, or in one way, they could hold the bear's arm. And
What?
so the bear could not swing as easily.
He's got another arm
Okay.
though.
He does have another arm, but a gorilla has like 3 other arms
Well,
because
that's
of all
not.
those
I
hands.
don't care though, because like a
No, no,
bear.
no. Hang on.
Fine, fine.
Let me contest.
Go
Let me
ahead, go
contest
ahead,
the
go ahead.
points. You made some valid points.
You have the court. Go ahead, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Uh, so what I'm saying is simply that also, on top of that, so a bear can go up on its hinders. Absolutely, it will. But in the research I was doing, bears don't go necessarily up on its hinders very much to do anything other than look around.
No, they go on their
So
hind legs to fight. Are you kidding me?
when I think they end up kind of on their hind legs to fight, but they don't start that way.
Yes, they
They
do.
will start. No, they don't. They will start that. They will start on all fours, slapping at each other, and then when they do come together, like if they're running at each other, what do you do when two objects hit head on? Usually they bounce up. So
Can
what
we?
I'm saying is
By
that
the way,
a bear may not necessarily just jump on its hind legs and try to fall over on a gorilla. Because I mean, if it did that, I would say like, yeah, that would be pretty freaking tough.
I disagree.
But you're welcome to, good sir.
I disagree. I disagree 100%. I disagree. Have you seen bear fights? They get on their hind legs and they start slapping, and I know they eventually do come down to fight, but like I know that gorillas, when they fight, they're on their hind legs, like specifically. Rarely do they actually go back to, because they need to use their hands. A bear, like it gets on its hind legs, intimidation, frees up its claws for swiping. But by the way, I want to mention the bear in my fight, black bears, whatever. I'm going. Let's just go for a straight up Kodiak Bear, which is close to the polar bear and the Kodiak Bear. Kind of are on the same playing field to a degree. It's close enough where it's not that big of a difference. Fun fact: polar bears, because of climate change, are heading further down south, and they're mating with brown bears, creating a new breed of bears. It's kind of scary, but
the koala bear,
the koala bear, the most formidable bear of all, which is I don't even think technically a bear. It's a marsupial thing. Actually, koala bears are one of the dumbest creatures on Earth. It's kind of sad that in captivity you can present to them their eucalyptus leaves, but they have to be on a branch. If you put them on a plate, they won't eat it. It has to be on a branch. So they are not the smartest creatures. I digress.
I've never found them very cute either. I know a lot of people are like, they're so cute, and like they're kind of weird looking.
They apparently it's ravaged by STDs in their species. Like it's kind of weird how like they're not very in a good spot right now, especially after these Australian wildfires. But
I mean, what do you do if you're stupid and you don't have much else to do? You go and have sex a lot and get STDs.
Yeah, I think it's specifically chlamydia they suffer from.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of like, wow, how hearing animals have STDs is kind of like, I never even crossed my mind. It's like, okay. That all being said, A bear wouldn't have an STD. Gorillas, of course, all the time. They're disgusting. They can't keep
Well,
their
another
junk clean.
reason a gorilla would win, he give that bear the STD.
Yep, the bear's too busy going to church on Sundays, going praying in the pews, while the gorilla's out on town drinking booze with these fast women, and it makes me upset. Bears are ethically and morally superior to gorillas. Gorillas just they pollute the earth. I'm glad they're going extinct. I'm
Oh, gosh.
Bears
Man,
they
Pete is
tip
gonna be all over you.
they tip
I'm glad
25%.
they're going extinct.
Someone's gonna clip that and be like, cancel Saberspark. But no, I mean to go back to it all though, like I firmly hold my ground that a bear has a lot more weapons going into a fight with a gorilla, and that if it lands a good killing blow, like a big swipe, like wham, like on a gorilla's face, not only is there the impact of the fist, but the paw coming at you, which is designed for that kind of stuff, for smacking the hell out of you. It's got claws. I mean, it could cut the eyes out of a gorilla and blind it. Like, cool, gorilla's got thumbs. I can jab it in the bear's eyes. The only chance of that happening is if we can get on the back of the. That's the only time I would actually understand a gorilla having an advantage is if it can get on the back of a bear and then bite down and hold on for dear life and hopefully.
And that leads me to my next point.
What?
That could totally happen.
How?
That could totally happen. Okay.
How?
Well, I mean, I don't think you're giving enough credit to the fact that gorillas are pretty agile. I mean, they're not going to do duck and rolls like doing backflips over a bear swipe, although if they could.
You're going to source King Kong with Peter Jackson's King Kong fighting 3 T-Rexes and be like, a bear stands no chance against King Kong. I'd be like, well, yes, yes, I guess.
Dang it, I just scribbled off my next 2 points.
I've got Godzilla beating King Kong, though, but that will be another episode.
That is a different story, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, but think about it this way. Like, a gorilla is fairly agile. Like, put into any particular scenario, unless they're literally in a boxing ring, which even then, maybe, a gorilla could climb up to a height to get on top of, to take advantage of that potential.
Do they do that though? Because like I know that when silverbacks fight in the wild, they go face to face. Does it have the intelligence? Does it have enough of a strategy to go? Oh, I have to bite the back of a gorilla of a bear and hold on. Like I can see a human strategizing that, of course, but like come on. I mean, a gorilla's smart, but is it tactician levels of smart?
I mean, that's a solid.
You better believe it, because I'm right and you're wrong.
That's a solid point of contention, but I think you're leaving out just the realm of possibility. A gorilla being like widely considered just south of human intelligence,
which just south. No, that's not. It's light years away from human intelligence. Humans build a space station, and gorillas can take a stick and scratch their butt. Like I'm sorry, but like. What do you mean just south?
Just south, like 2 points. 2 points max.
Okay. Yeah, just
look. A gorilla is widely known to be very intelligent. I'm not saying it's going to build a space station, but they're very intelligent. There's no reason, in my mind, that a gorilla would not try to take advantage of its surroundings. It's at least that smart.
I'm sorry, Scott. I just don't see it. I'm sorry. What's the gorilla gonna do? This is what always bothered me when I would debate this at conventions, bear versus gorilla. I've had my other online pals like Black Griffin and Joxblade and other people who I hate, but I'm being real here. I don't hate them, but like they're wrong. Where they're like, oh, a gorilla's smarter, and I'm like, what's it gonna quote? Like multiplication, like 2 by 2 is 4. And the bear's like you're smart. It's like there's a certain level of intelligence where it actually helps, like a human level of intelligence or a dolphin with like working as a team to fight a shark. But like a gorilla, yeah, okay, it's smart enough to use its twig to get ants or something cool. But like versus a bear, I don't care. Like you have to start opting out of your strength and stacking your points into severe intelligence, like super intelligence, if you want to stand a chance. And even then, humans who are intelligent still have some pretty bad days with bears, where it's like, oh, my gun's not working, and I'm getting jumped by a bear, so I'm dead. So like a bear has better tools to deal with a gorilla. A gorilla never evolved to deal with bears. If it did, maybe it might have a better defense or might have gone extinct. But like bears are like tangling with like big elk, cavemen back in the day, bison, um, Optimus Prime. You know, there's other.
Optimus Prime.
other-
Okay. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Hang on.
Okay.
Getting a little out there.
I'm just discussing the facts, Scott.
The fact is, Optimus Prime is a total piece of crap compared to
No!
the bear.
Optimus Prime is a legend and was the only good thing in the Transformers movies from Michael Bay.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true. That's 100%
I
true.
know
But, okay.
I'm ranting, but like still at the core of it all, I still hold that like just the weapons that a bear has, the weight, the because like okay, cool, gorilla's stronger, but like it just means nothing when a bear comes down on you with paws and claws and horse tea onion, you know, like bear coming at you. That's an inside joke.
I knew you were gonna reference Bearstein Bears.
The
I knew it was
Bears
coming. It was just a matter of time. Talk about intelligence. Freaking Bearstein Bears, man.
Bearstein Bears versus Caesar and his army of apes from Planet of the Apes. Who would win?
Golly. Look, I mean, a gorilla may not have knives to its hands, but a gorilla can use its elements. It's gonna throw rocks. It's gonna throw crap that could do a lot more. A gorilla could throw some pirate sand in that bear's eyes. Another inside joke for you.
Pirates. I mean, okay. Here's a legitimate question. I will be as open and fair as I possibly can. Are gorillas known for using tools in combat?
Well,
or is this just speculation?
I think it's fair to provide some speculation because of the fact that they're capable of using tools.
Like what?
Okay, you said yourself. I mean, they'll use sticks to do things with it, not necessarily just scratch themselves, but they'll use them to help pull out food. Gorillas have been known to throw things to help scare off, warn away anybody encroaching into their dominion.
Here's a question. What's the biggest predator that gorillas have to deal with outside of, like, of course, poachers? What natural predators are gorillas usually pitted up against? I know that there's leopards.
I'll tell you, freaking STDs.
For real?
Honestly, I think it might be one of the higher ones, but that's just me kind of making more of a joke than an actual fact.
STD is the biggest natural predator of all.
they've been evolving to beat those STDs, man,
for years.
Okay. Again, another fair point. But how often do you see elks attacking bears? You referenced elks specifically. They have some horns, but are they really attacking bears that often? Well, elks don't typically go for bear cubs.
Elks don't.
They're not looking for some bear meat.
No, I mean the biggest threat to a bear, and I'm just okay. By the way, moving forward, just know that humans are always an issue for any animal ever. But putting them to the side, the biggest threat to a bear is another bear. And I mean, like I know that there are cougars and mountain lions and bigger prey like bison, but like that's pretty rare. It's pretty like bears are apex predators. The only thing I think they can really have issues with, because even if they're fighting a mountain lion, like a mountain lion's gonna back off because like a bear is just outclasses it in weight and strength, and where a bear could take a few hits, a swipe from a bear to a mountain lion is game over. Like it'll break the bones and it's over. The only predator that gives a bear issues are wolves. I think wolves having a pack gives them an edge where bears are like usually surrounded by a pack of wolves and they're like, oh gosh, I want to get bitten up by these wolves because while one keeps me distracted in the front, this other one's getting me in the butt. And it's just like a constant game of like I have to protect my ass from getting bitten off, and that's just because a wolf versus a bear 1-on-1 it's over. But yeah, bears in a 1v1 fight, they're pretty tough to beat. And I mean, a polar bear is one of the largest, if not the largest, land predator on the planet. It could probably even beat a tiger. I just don't see how someone can match the strength and the formidable weapons and teeth and claws of a bear. I mean, do girls even use their teeth in combat?
Uh, I would think so, but I can't say I haven't been attacked by a gorilla, so I
Recently.
can't say for sure. Not recently.
Not recently, not since
Not,
high
not
school.
recently. I mean, the thing is, I'm like the.
How many Trey Martins would it take to defeat defeating a silverback gorilla?
Well, I mean, the thing is that a gorilla would never see Trey Martin coming.
No, no.
Just flat out never see it coming. He would just get shanked right in the rib cage, and he'd just be like, "What the? What was that?"
Sorry, folks. That's an inside joke from high school with me and Scott.
Golly, just way back. That is an inside joke from that's like 15 years in the making, right there.
Lord, oh Lord, that stuff
Oh
still
my
persists.
goodness. My
Okay. I'll
goodness.
give you the floor because I feel like I'm throwing jabs of like again I want to encourage real conversation, which I believe we're achieving. But like, okay, I know. Have you ever seen King Kong 1933?
Well, I mean, I've seen pieces of that one. I've seen the remake, of course, the Peter
When
Jackson remake,
okay,
and I saw Kong Skull Island. That was the most recent one.
what'd you think of that? That was a very different kind of Kong.
It was good. I don't know. I can't remember. It's been a minute. I can't remember why I wasn't like in love with it, but I gotta say that I enjoyed the creativity of it,
Yeah,
and I will
yeah.
say that that version of King Kong felt more right to me.
It was because Peter Jackson's King Kong was more like a big mountain gorilla with how it walks on all fours. The
Right.
original King Kong walked on its hind legs, which is what the Skull Island Kong was modeled after, is one that was a bit more bipedal or
Yeah.
bipedal, whatever. Uh, I'll be real with you. There's that King. Okay, so first off, Godzilla vs King Kong was pushed back from November of last year, or I'm sorry, spring of this year, 2020, to fall of 2020. This was before the virus outbreak that we're currently going through. All of these
Yeah.
other movies, Wonder Woman 1984, I think Dune's on the chopping list. A lot of these movies being pushed back to later in the year because Kong versus Godzilla was planned for November. Now it's got a lot more competition being pushed back to its date because it pushed
Yeah.
back before the virus was announced. Introducing virus. But
Introducing.
that being said, I I don't know how Kong could fight Godzilla. Way too much of a discrepancy in strength and
Why
overall
are we talking about
power.
Godzilla right now?
Because
I know
Godzilla's
we're talking about the
awesome. No,
movie,
Scott,
but you can't. Are
listen.
you making an argument for Godzilla when you're supposed to be on bears?
I'm
Because
saying
Godzilla and a
no,
bear is not quite
no,
the
no.
same.
Look, if I can get an excuse to talk about Godzilla, I damn sure will. Godzilla could defeat a gorilla. That's what I'm saying. All right. I I'm telling you right now. You ever seen Batman versus Superman? Unfortunately, have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen that.
That's
Dawn
how
of Justice.
that's how King Kong and Godzilla is going to go down. Is where it's going to be like, oh my god, who's the true king of the monsters, Godzilla or King Kong? And they'll probably have two confrontations where they fight, and then a common enemy will arrive. I don't know what it will be, and King Kong and Godzilla will
It's gonna be STDs.
Oh no! Oh no! A giant condom monster will rise from the oceans.
Ah!
Yeah, I guess what I'm getting at is that the King Kong from the original King Kong and the one from Skull Island. I mean, obviously fictional creatures, inspiration from gorillas, of course, but they like when King Kong in 33 is fighting a T Rex. It's like, well, this is almost like a bipedal or bipedal creature that has its arms always available. I mean, I'm pretty sure King Kong walked on all fours occasionally in 33, but not two, or is it 33 or 31? Whatever. Old school King Kong.
I think it's 33.
By the way, the casual sexism in that movie is insane. I was laughing with how outrageous where the girl character, the actress they needed for their quote unquote movie they were filming on the boat, she's just this ditzy damsel in distress. There's that first mate of the captain who's like, ah, it's a bad luck to have a woman on board because they have that transatlantic old school acting voice. I think movies like this is what inspired the trope of, yeah, Shay, like, well, that's more of a Chicago, like, gangsters. But there's a scene later on where the girl's on the boat, they're almost to Skull Island, and the guy's like, I really taking a liking to you. And she's like, saying to the first mate, saying, but yada yada, I thought you didn't like women. And he says, yeah, I don't, but I like you. And I'm like, good Lord, just straight up, like, sexism, like, yeah, I hate women, but you're hot, so I like you. And it's and
Yes,
here's
it's
the
pretty
best
right
part.
out there.
Final point about this. Now we'll get back on track. Is I find it hilarious how in King Kong, both the original and the Peter Jackson 2005, adaptation, when everybody got the hell off the island originally, they're like, we're out of here, bye. Then they're like, oh no, the woman's missing. And I find it hilarious that in the eyes of this ship and its crew, they're like, we're about to pay 30 men, and their lives to save one woman. Like, it's like, oh no, the woman's in trouble. All right, storm the beaches. But then like 17 guys will die instantly to like a gorilla. They're like, what can you do? And I'm like, whoa, wait, what? It's just one lady, let her die. Like, it's not worth the 30 lives of other guys. Like, come on. Like, it's there's a chivalry to it all.
Yeah, I
Almost
was
to
just
a
gonna say,
maddening
like, you're
level.
talking about the time of chivalry, my friend.
I mean, obviously if it's a loved one of ours, it's like, yeah, we'll do it. But like, if I was on that boat and they're like, go on the beaches and go into a jungle of death to save a woman I've never met, I'd be like, no. Like, no, I'll sail the boat. I'll scrub potatoes or whatever you do. I don't know.
Whatever you need me to do, I'll do it. But I'm not going on.
I ain't going on that boat. I'm not getting off the boat. I'm not going on that island. No.
Absolutely. No, I gotta say pretty much the same. I'm like, I consider myself a fairly chivalrous human being even before I got married, but I was like, yeah, I mean, if I don't know you, then I'm not necessarily going to risk my own skin for yours, let alone, honestly, it's not even my own. Like, if it's just a one on one thing, I would probably consider some of it. But to risk my own skin and then like a bunch of other people's, like to your point,
No.
for one person, no, 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 no,
Absolutely
no, no,
not.
no. I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry. Yeah.
Best of luck to you, dear.
Like,
I'm
okay.
leaving.
I mean, if this island had just a bear on it, I'd still be like, nah. I'm not going on there. Have you seen how terrifying
No, if
bears
it was a
are?
bear, I'd be like, we're fine. It's just Winnie the Pooh.
No, no. I mean, the bear. There'd be an island full of gorilla corpses just everywhere because there's a bear on there.
No, no, because the greatest enemy of the bear is the honeybee.
The
It's
honey.
got that's gonna be so distracted by honey, a gorilla just get in there with a little with like a stick shank, just
I
in the rings.
so I find it funny that there are like, okay, so I watched an animal documentary, actually had a bear like breaking into a beehive, and it's just like, I thought bear skins were thick enough to just deal with it, but the bear is like, ah, God, like, this is like flinching around trying to get the honey out, and then just completely just beelined out of there, no pun intended. Where it's
Oh,
like, where it's like, I'm out of
okay.
here. That was good. That was good.
Let me just climb on top of that point you just made.
Mhm.
Gorillas can throw things. He's gonna find a beehive and just huck that beehive at the bear. It's gonna crack open on that bear's snout. There's gonna be bees in the snout.
The
Be stuck. It's
I
gonna be
forgot.
sticky and uncomfortable.
I forgot how it's been documented that gorillas strategically throw beehives at bears. Of course, I'm
Constantly.
a fool. I'm a fool.
Absolutely every time they do that. That's their MO, my friend.
All right, we've hit the
Can't wa-
50-minute mark of our podcast. Let's do closing arguments and really drill down into, like, honest to God, what we truly think, and share our final like points of why our contenders would win, and then take it from there. Scott, present your argument of why you truly think a gorilla would win a fight against a like brown bear.
A brown bear. Okay, so I've I've really thrown out most of my major points. I think that the bear, or excuse me, the gorilla would in fact have a good standing ground against the bear because even with its disadvantages of not having the claws, the sharpness, I think when you talk about numbers, like I quoted, I'm assuming you before I cut out, you heard my number quoting.
No, repeat it just in case.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. So the reason I feel that a gorilla still would has a chance to win over the bear. It does not have the claws, but it does have the strength. It's got numbers that are classed by science that a gorilla's bite is actually stronger than a bear's. So
Okay.
were the gorilla to bite, it would do some serious damage, despite other things. The strength, obvious. I've quoted it already. I won't have to keep saying it. It's strong enough to lift that bear up and move it and
Okay.
push it. It can clearly throw that bear around. The the ability of it to use its four hands, if you will, uh, and its agility would give it some nominal advantage over the bear because if it could get on the bear's back, I'm not saying it guaranteed would because a bear would and will get up on its hind legs and it does become probably a good 3 to 4 feet taller than the gorilla. But I think there's ways a gorilla could do it. It does have a heightened sense of intelligence. It's not human level, sure, but I think when it comes down to it, you can't completely just you can give some advantage with the numbers.
Okay.
Science makes it seem like it's a strong animal. It can take a beating, and I think we would end up seeing a very interesting outcome were the situation to work out with the right circumstances. I
Okay.
think because of the intelligence, it could manipulate its surroundings to take a higher ground. It could climb up and jump down a lot faster. It could pick up a boulder and throw it. It could do these things if it wanted to. It may not we may not necessarily see it in a science video that a gorilla's going to do a triple backflip off of a branch and drop an elbow
Spider-Man.
onto a bear's spine, but I think we have to allow the fact that it could,
Okay.
and that's not something a bear can do. It's kind of limited to ground level attack.
Okay. Be that
Boom.
as it may.
Here it comes.
Be that as it may, I fully acknowledge that in the realm of a gorilla, where it is smarter than a bear, it doesn't do much for it. There is a wild card percentage that I will give to a gorilla, or at least acknowledge it. When I say percentage, I mean as in out of this many fights, maybe there would be a moment where a gorilla would get the edge. Maybe. Or it's something where if a gorilla had bears in its environment and evolved alongside them and learned about them, then they can learn how to combat them and deal with them. I do give the adaptation points to the gorilla because they are from the great ape family and it's something apes do quite well is adapting. I mean, humans are the best at it by a long shot. So, that being said, a gorilla
Bearing in mind.
bearing my facts, I think that okay, what's the closest large predator that comes close to a bear that actually bumps shoulders with gorillas? I'd say a leopard. Leopards aren't even close in strength, close in overall size and viciousness of a bear. A leopard's more, of course, feline and is strategic with hit and runs and maybe intimidation as far as like giving out a roar and swiping its claws. But if a gorilla came at a leopard, that leopard's gonna turn tail and run. A bear wouldn't do that. A bear would get on its hind legs, stand about 8 feet, 9 feet tall, and look down at the gorilla, which would then immediately be like, what the hell is this? A gorilla wouldn't know what to do with a bear. I think that shock of facing a predator that is much larger than it would throw a gorilla off, and that would be just enough for a bear to land a swipe or two and really change that gorilla's mind, where it's like, buddy, you might be the biggest in your neighborhood, but you're fighting a grizzly bear, a brown bear, a polar bear, Kodiak Bear, any of those four I just listed probably could like floor a gorilla. I fully acknowledge again that a gorilla has strong arms and an upper body and could probably push a bear off of it. But the only time I could ever see a gorilla beating a bear is with exceptions where there might be that one moment where it's one of its, there's a brain synapse that fires off saying dodge, and you jump to the side and then jump on the bear and then bite its neck and hold on for dear life. Maybe a gorilla's victory hinges so much on exceptions and luck, and if a gorilla had enough times and moments to keep fighting and adapting, then I would give a gorilla an edge over time, because bears don't adapt as well as gorillas. But in a 1v1 fight for the first time, I'd say a bear would beat that gorilla 8 out of 10 times. That's where I stand. I think a bear is better equipped. It's larger, it's stronger, it's got claws and teeth and strength and just this killing blows of swipes from its arms that would then be followed up directly with mauling from its teeth and would start ripping your guts out. And a gorilla might be the toughest guy in their neighborhood, but when faced off against one of the largest land predators that have walked on this planet, it doesn't stand a chance.
All right. Well, I appreciate your opinions. Factual and otherwise.
For what it's worth, this is the best debate I've had with a pro gorilla person in my life.
I appreciate that,
because usually people dismiss a bear and saying, okay, if it was a black bear, of course a gorilla would just throw it to the side, no problem. It would intimidate the hell out of it. But there's a certain class of bear, in my opinion, where it's just like, okay, you're dealing with something that is on a different level. And I mean, could a gorilla defeat a lion? I think so, yes. Could defeat even Macho Man Randy Savage? Maybe. But
I don't know. It's
hard to say because he's gone. Never mind. But
he's gonna be snapping into a lot of Slim Jims.
But my final sentiment to you, Scott, about this is I will give props to gorillas for being strong, intelligent creatures, but in the way of fighting a grizzly bear or above, nah, just not. It's not going to happen unless there's quite the exception during a fight.
That's very fair. That's very fair. I acknowledge all of those good points. I also acknowledge a bear's ferocity and its 4-inch claws, because those are not at all arguable.
No.
They're not going to not have them.
They don't retract. They're always ready to go.
They are always ready to go. And I definitely thought I think that was a very strong point that you didn't necessarily say the word, but I think it was kind of where you're going at it, is that the bear is, I would say, arguably more a survivalist, because it's just had more crap thrown at it. It does make the bear quite tough, with experience that a gorilla just hasn't had.
They are very different creatures. I guess this will be the final oversweep of both competitors, because one's more of a hermit, or it stays on its own, keeps to itself, occasionally has social gatherings, but usually it's on its own. Hibernates. The only time it really is with others of its kind is a mother raising its cubs, or they team up at a river to get salmon, and even then there's disputes. But gorillas are social creatures. That's one of its biggest advantages as a species, is a gorilla is typically not alone. It's got backup if it needs it.
Yeah.
And I think
that's true. That's true. I was actually reading a point on where it said the first known gorilla-based gang fight.
Gang fight? I'm sorry?
Yeah, like where basically like all the gorillas attacked the same thing. It wasn't just the alpha male. The gorillas attacked as a gang, which I'm like,
wow.
That's not like normally done.
Planet of the Apes. Planet of the Apes, dude.
Yeah. Like, that's not normally done. I mean, wolves, as you quoted, will do that. It's a pack mentality, but gorillas are like, follow the leader. But not necessarily everybody's going to fight with the leader. It's This was a new one.
That's
I don't
amazing.
remember what it was that they fought, but they all attacked it.
It was
Probably a person.
right. Probably some stockbroker who
Yes.
went a little bit too far with their investments. I think this will probably be one of our most divided conversations and debates. I like that. Let this question endure throughout the entire run of this series,
Absolutely.
and it will resurface, and it will be an inside joke that we'll goof on. But this podcast was born from this debate of bear
Yep.
versus gorilla, and let it be known that it's a pretty even. I wouldn't say even, but it's a fight that where each side has something to offer up of why its opponent could win. So,
Correct.
that being
Between two
said,
colleagues.
between two people in the fields of science, of fictional
Yes.
science, we this will be our starting point as we proceed forward with this podcast, with our debate like format. We will hone our skills. We'll take in feedback. Let us all know what you all think, and we look forward to just talking with you all and sharing our thoughts and just having a good old goofing time of discussing these topics of verses and letting the tangents flow from them.
Absolutely. Extremely excited to read some of the feedback and here's some good points that maybe I failed to mention, maybe you failed to mention,
Yeah, possibly.
or just some more valid points as to why one of us are wrong. Again, I know I said that earlier, but I'm like, please tell me. I've
Yep.
never had a problem with being corrected. So bring them on.
Yeah, I want to be right, even if it, at the cost of my own pride. Let me know. But Scott, any final words you want to say to our audience before we peace out for this episode?
Gosh, no, I feel like I've said enough. I don't know if anybody wants to hear too much from me about this. I've still got the intensity of gorillas going on in my brain, but it's been an absolute pleasure
Likewise.
for our first episode. I hope everybody had a good time. Hope they just felt like you were just sitting with us having a conversation. That's our goal. We want you guys to feel like you're here with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah,
Well, but
it's been great. Thank you very much for hanging out and listening.
next week we have a very interesting topic. When I say next week, next episode. Next episode, our topic. This one was Scott came up with this one, and he told me it over the phone. I couldn't
Oh
stop
yeah, I'm
laughing for a
excited
few
about this
minutes.
one.
This one is it's bringing us into the realm of Western animation, specifically from the 90s and the early
Yeah.
2000s. We got ourselves a battle between grandpas from different cartoon shows. Scott, you want to present it?
Yes. So you'll have to correct my names. I think I may have forgotten flip the names, but we have Grandpa, was it Lou from the Rugrats?
Correct. Correct.
Yeah, okay. So we have Grandpa Lou versus Grandpa Phil,
From Hey
as I
Arnold.
recall, from Hey Arnold. So we have the Rugrats Grandpa versus Hey Arnold Grandpa. They're gonna go toe to toe, old to old, whiskers to whiskers. Should be fun.
We got ourselves a battle of grandpas in episode 2 of BvG. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next
Yes.
time, and let the conversations and battles and discussion commence.
See y'all later.
Later.